Hey, what's up there, YouTubers? It's me again, Brian, aka Gamer55551, and I am back with a My 2 Cent video for this week, for the week of September 14th to the 20th, 2025, where I take a look at a couple of stories that caught my attention and give you my thoughts and my opinion about them. Before we get started, I do want to point out that there is a possibility I won't do a My 2 Cent video next week. Something came up and I don't know how long it's going to take. I'm hoping I could do one, but if I don't, you probably would know that I had to deal with something. So just so you know, there is a possibility I won't be doing a My 2 Cent video for, excuse me, next week. But anyway, we got 3 stories to cover this week, including Randy Pitchford, basically another example of him putting his foot in his mouth. Like always, because of when he opens his mouth and says stuff, though. Mario Galaxy 1 and 2 in terms of the price point and how this certainly has gotten mixed response depending on who you're asking this to. And a former employee at Capcom basically makes a comment in regards of the game key cards and all, and basically why they are defending it and everything. If you're interested in where I got the source of this information, links will be in the description of this video. You assume you're watching this on YouTube or Patreon. And of course, timestamps will also be in the description of this video if there are certain parts of this video you wish to skip to and all. But before we get started, I like to do what I like to call the quick My 2 Cent, stories that kind of caught my attention, but I'm not going to go into a huge amount of details and all. The first one has to do is that we have a sort of a short but a new trailer for Hyrule Warriors Age of Imprisonment, the upcoming Hyrule Warriors game and all, and it did reveal some information in terms of save data, so that you will be able to unlock certain items. This one they point to either Tears of the Kingdom or Hyrule Warriors Age of Calamity. So I mean, it's certainly a nice addition, indeed, if you have some save data and all. I mean, this isn't an unusual thing. I think they did this with the Xenoblade Chronicles series, to be exact and all. It is certainly one of the games I'm looking forward to, and if what the footage they're showing is spot on, it does look like Age of Imprisonment is running at 60 frames per second, which is good. It'll be very interesting down the road if they decide to give Age of Calamity a Nintendo Switch 2 edition. I mean, if they did with Breath of the Wild and Tears of the Kingdom, I would say odds are there's a good chance we could see Age of Calamity get like a Switch 2 version with a 60 FPS boost and everything. We also learned that Limited Run Games will be releasing a Nickelodeon Splat Pack for multiple SNES titles that will be available on a retro collection. Basically, it's 3 games so far. They have Real Monster, Nickelodeon Guts, and Rocko's Modern Life and all, which certainly is nice for retro collectors out there. But at the same time, I do feel that there are certainly some games missing to it. Like I think some of the Ren and Stimpy games, maybe some of the Rugrats one to be exact. So there are certainly some that would be interesting to add into, or even like the NES, like say Double Dare or something. So it certainly is. So it is a little bit unfortunate. On the other hand, I do remember when the Disney collection came out, they had basically like, you know, the Lion King, Jungle Book, and Aladdin. At the time, there was only like the Super Nintendo version, but eventually they added the Sega Genesis version though, so it's possible that could happen. There may be some publishing rights here and there, but in either case, it is something for those who are looking for maybe a nostalgic trip down memory lane or something like that. We also learned that the Switch version of Lollipop Chainsaw will be getting a Switch 2 version for those who have the Switch 1 version. There were some criticism about the Switch 1 version, especially with the frame rate and how it ran and everything like that. And yeah, I could see some of the criticism. Indeed, it looks like it could run at 60 frames per second and all. What we don't know if this will be a free upgrade, or if this is going to be, or if they're going to charge for this upgrade that we've seen other developers before have done though. So my honest opinion is I'd rather this be a free upgrade, like I think what we saw with No Man's Sky for the Switch 1. They now have one for the Switch 2, a upgrade for that. But I'll be honest with you, I wouldn't be shocked if it turns out that Lollipop Chainsaw Repop Edition, there is a $10 upgrade or something like that. We've seen that with other games before. I'm hoping if that's the case, I'm hoping it's $10, but excuse me, time will ultimately tell if that is the case and all. We also learned during the Japanese charts for this week that the Switch 2 has certainly surpassed 2 million units sold, at least in Japan and everything like that. I mean, we've been seeing how it looks like the Switch 2 seems to be getting off to a very good start. Indeed, there has been some debate over the launch lineup and everything like that, and some of the decisions Nintendo has made in terms of, some of the communications here and there. But despite that, the Switch 2 seems to be off to a very good start, indeed, especially in Japan. Then again, Nintendo systems have pretty much been very dominant in Japan and everything like that. Although we have seen the PS5 certainly has fared better and all, but nevertheless, the Switch has certainly done. The Nintendo brands tend to do very good in their home country and everything. So nice to see it doing very well, at least in Japan. Though it'll be interesting to see how it does in other places. Indeed. We also learned that the developers behind the Rune Factory Guardian of Exuma seem to be very pleased with how the game has done, especially when they experimented with some ideas and everything like that. And they'll be looking at that to see how they do that with maybe like future entries into the Rune Factory series in general, which I think that is very good indeed and all. I mean, I've been playing Rune Factory Guardian of Exuma. I definitely like some of the gameplay mechanics, though. I think the farming is done very well this time around. So it is certainly a good game, indeed. And hopefully we'll see if they take some of that element and use that in another Rune Factory game, whether it's the main line or something of a spin-off to like what we did see with Guardians of Exuma going forward. But in either case, the game has done very well, and obviously the developers must be happy, especially since we all know that the entire game is in the Switch 2 cartridges and everything. And last but not least, it seems as though we have now 2 new games on the Game Boy Advance expansion for those who have the Nintendo Switch Online. It will be out next week. The 2 games are from Bandai Namco, which is Koala, if I'm saying the name correctly, Empire Dreams, and Mr. Drill's 2. So we have sort of like a classic arcade game and a classic 2D game to be exact. Certainly nice indeed. It's a nice addition for that, especially for those who may be into those games and everything. So really nice that we're seeing more games indeed add to the service, though. Although I wouldn't be against the idea if there are like any Japanese only titles that never saw the light of day here in the West. I would like to see those games start making their way over to the Switch Online services. I mean, we have seen some of them though, but I would like to see more I'd like to see more down the road indeed. And finally, in the movie and TV show part of the Quick My 2 Cent, Netflix put out a new trailer for the upcoming Splinter Cell show and all. And I will say it is something I'm going to keep an eye out, and it's definitely probably be something I watch and all. I mean, when it comes to video game adaptations, I will say Netflix has done a very good job. There have been some that I thought have been mixed, like Dragon Dogma and Onimusha and all. But there are some that I felt like they have done very well, like Castlevania and basically Cyberpunk with Cyberpunk Edgerunner. We're getting a second season on that. And also, they have had some success. Indeed, I've seen some other ones like the Tomb Raider one to Ubisoft's Captain Laserhawk, which is certainly nice. And so this one I'll be keeping an eye out. I'm hoping this garnish interest and put Ubisoft on basically doing another Splinter Cell game and everything like that. We really need another one, to be exact, though. And I think it's ridiculous we haven't got another one yet at this time and all. I mean, you could still do one. It doesn't have to be a massive open world kind of approach, though. It could still be a linear game and still be enjoyable and fun and everything. So I'm hoping this opens the door and convinces Ubisoft to maybe really look into doing actually another Splinter Cell game and everything. Okay, with the Quick My 2 Cent part now done, along with the movie and TV show part of the Quick My 2 Cent, we'll get started with our first story, and this one has to do with more on the game keycard situation. Now, again, with the game keycard situation for the Switch 2, it's gone back and forth about some of the views of it, though. Some are not bothered by it, but others are kind of indeed, though. We have heard recently from some developers, ranging from how third-party developers are happy with game keycards existing, to a recent report from Ubisoft, one of the employees there, working on Star Wars Outlaw, and the reason why they chose to use a game keycard, and according to them, it wasn't because of the price point, but it had to do with, the SSD and certain things loading into the game. Although they did mention, though, that had they had Switch 2 earlier, they may have found a workaround it, or may have found, at least try to find a way around that situation, to be exact. But now an ex-composer at Capcom has weighed in on the situation itself, and they are defending game keycards. And of course, the response to this isn't exactly 100% going over very well. Not everybody is pleased with this argument, though. So in an article from Nintendo Life, it points out basically a comment made by one of the ex-Capcom employee. This is what some of the comments he said. Quote, "Do physical items outside of digital purchase last forever? Most of the time they don't, right? Physical things always have a lifespan and will eventually break. Digital products, on the other hand, generally don't have a lifespan," which I would say that's partially true. I don't completely disagree, but at the same time, you don't have control over those digital products, especially if the servers are shut down, or if they decide to pull it from the market as well. So yeah, I'm a bit of a double-edged sword on that one, to be exact. Anyway, continuing on, this person also claimed that Nintendo game keycards are also a measure against illegally copying, as the data cannot be extracted from the cartridge and distributed online. It can still be extracted from the storage of the console it is downloaded to, of course. It also reduced the risk of Nintendo and other publishers holding excessive inventory and potentially losing a lot of revenue, as game keycards are far cheaper to manufacture. I feel that these moves are largely aimed at protecting the gaming industry and the digital entertainment industry, he concludes. And I might be a bit too optimistic on the view, but the fact is that because Nintendo's taking the lead, other companies can more easily follow suit to protect themselves. So, does he have a point? Maybe. I mean, there are certainly some ups and downs with game key cards, though. Some of it like preventing illegal copies, and the fact that the lifespan of a game is a bit longer than it is on the physical media. I mean, that's a possibility. Also, game key cards, we now know, can not only are not tied to your account, but can supposedly be resold or bought used and all. Still, I'm not sure that the criticism of game key cards are going to go away or anything like that, nor do I see game key cards being abandoned outright together. Now, obviously, based on the response to it, not everybody is basically agreeing with what he is saying, though, so it doesn't really surprise me right there. So I will say it's an interesting point, but I do not think the argument about game key cards are going away. I think a lot of people have already made up their mind whether they are okay with it or not, though. Even some out there who have made the decision not to buy the Switch 2 version if it's on a game key card. Some are defending that. Some think that's going way overboard. So yeah, I don't think the argument about game key cards are going to be going away anytime soon, though. So overall, it is an interesting point, though, and since he's worked in the industry for so many years, though, I can't completely dismiss what he is saying, though. But at the same time, it's still, like I said, this still isn't going to change the view of people have with game key cards in general, though. And while I do not think game key cards are going away, I still stand behind my position on the fact that I do think Nintendo may have to reevaluate or re-examine their approach with game key cards going forward and everything like that. So yeah, this argument isn't going to be going away anytime soon at all. Okay, we're going to take a quick break. When we get back, we'll get to part 2, and this one has to do with Mario Galaxy 1+2 and supposedly the price point that some folks are, at least depending on who you are asking, are not happy with basically the price point indeed. So we're going to take a quick break and we will be right back. Okay, and we are back with part 2 of my 2 cent video for this week. And for this one, we're going to be taking a look at Mario Galaxy Plus 1 and 2 and the price point that has come out for it though. Now, during the Nintendo Direct last week though, they combined that with the announcement with the Mario 40th anniversary, and there were some neat announcements here and there. One is the title for the next Mario movie called Super Mario Galaxy, which I will admit it's a little bit odd that they are going with that approach though, considering the fact that anybody who saw the Super Mario Bros. Movie knows at the end of that they showed the Yoshi egg, and many assume that it will be based off of Super Mario World and all. So sort of an odd direction for them to go, but at the same time, still kind of curious about how that movie is going to play out. But in either case, to me, the big announcement was the announcement of Super Mario Galaxy 1+2 coming to the Switch, and also there's going to be some updates for those who play it on the Switch 2, which is certainly nice indeed though. Now, Super Mario Galaxy was released for the Nintendo Switch as part of the Super Mario 3D All-Star. That was for like the 30th anniversary though, and it wasn't a bad collection, as it had Mario Sunshine, Super Mario 64, and Mario Galaxy, though I will admit it was a little unfortunate they didn't add Super Mario Galaxy 2 to that collection. So the fact that we're getting all three of these games, two of these games into one package is certainly nice indeed. I believe it's one package though. And they also showed off, at least it looked like for the Switch 2, the whole mouse control if you're using that one for the stars. So certainly nice indeed. And it is definitely still remains one of my favorite 3D platforms out there, both of those games for obvious reasons. For me, the first one is, of course, the music in the game and everything, and the second one is because of its difficulty though, indeed. However, the sticker price is what's been causing some controversy for some folks out there, as it has been reported that the game is $70 for the game, but if you buy it through the eShop though, it will be $40 each. No word if they're doing something like if you buy one you could get a discount for the other, which I think they did that with Bayonetta 2 when that game came out indeed, so it needs to be seen if that's the case. But there are some folks out there that aren't necessarily happy about the $70 price tag and all, and I can understand, considering if you go on Amazon, I think last time I checked, you could buy the original, like the Wii version at a lower price and everything like that. So there are some who feel like Nintendo is sort of being a bit too greedy and all. And I cannot completely disagree with that argument in its entirety, though, considering that I just wonder if it would have been better if just not at $70. However, that hasn't stopped, it seems to have not prevented Nintendo from doing that. We saw that Mario Kart World was like $80 and everything, and that basically, and there was outrage about that, but I don't think it stopped the game from at least doing very well and everything like that. Even the Switch 2 with the price point and everything did not prevent it from doing very well. And it does seem to indicate that despite the $70 price tag, it seems to have been selling very well on Amazon. And I think currently, right now, it is a bestseller on there. In fact, this article from The Gamer seems to point out saying, quote, "Pre-orders went live after it was shown off during Friday's Direct, and since Nintendo doesn't reveal pricing during speculation, we found out how much it was going to cost. That sparked negative reaction, which isn't really surprising, but it seems there were more people happy to pay it than there were people angry about it, as before the weekend had even come to an end. Physical copies of Galaxy Collections are already sold out in some places though, although last time I checked though, I do believe it was available to pre-order on basically Amazon. There's some speculation of it being like a 3D All-Stars, a limited run for the game like Nintendo did, like I mentioned with 3D All-Stars, although there's been no reports if that Nintendo is doing that or not, and Nintendo hasn't really said anything at this time. It reads that, quote, "That remains the case that neither Target nor Walmart has any Galaxy or Galaxy 2 pre-orders left. No confirmation yet, but it might mean they're gone for good, or at least until release date. Retailers were presumably given an allocation of the collection, and once they're gone, they're gone. With that in mind, if you do want a physical copy of Galaxy 1 and 2, you might want to pre-order copies sooner or later. As this typing, there's still stock in Amazon, GameSpot, and Best Buy. That might not be the case for long, particularly Amazon, which just only fixes broken relationship with Nintendo." There's a fear that the stock of Mario Galaxy Collection selling out so quickly means that it's another Super Mario 3D All-Star situation, but Nintendo just doesn't want to say it at all. 3D All-Stars, a collection that was released celebrating Mario's 35th anniversary, I'm sick of that one, was only available for a limited time. Both physical and digital copies were removed from the sale after the window slammed shut, and Nintendo has never sold them again. So, despite the price tag for the game, though, which I understand some of the criticism towards it, though, it seems to have not stopped the game from basically selling very well, or at least pre-orders seem to be getting off to a good start. And honestly, I'm not shocked about it, though, okay? I mean, yes, I understand that the $70 price tag is not going to sit well with everybody and everything like that. Same with the $80 price tag, though. But unfortunately, it doesn't seem to have done enough to prevent the game from selling out, at least so far. I think some of that could be is that you do have a casual market that isn't as, maybe not on the same scale, making the kind of outrage you hear for folks online, which sometimes a lot outrage online could have an impact on the company. Other times it could just end up being just noise and not really have any impact at all. And that does seem to be the case with Mario Galaxy 1 or 2. How well it will do, we'll have to wait and see once the not only the Famitsu charts, but the Satana chart numbers come out to see how well Mario Galaxy 1 and 2 does. My guess is, and odds are, given the popularity of the brand and the fact that the upcoming Mario movie, Mario Galaxy, will be out next year, I would say odds are Mario Galaxy 1 and 2 will probably do very well in terms of sales-wise, though. Whether this remains a limited run or not remains to be seen at this time, but I mean, yeah, I wouldn't be surprised if this game does well, and yeah, I understand the price point isn't going to be for everybody out there. So overall, yes, I understand some of the controversy surrounding the price point. I know not everybody is a fan of it being $70 and all, but it doesn't seem to have the negative impact that some people were thinking it was going to have and all. Okay, we're going to take a quick break, and when we get back, we'll get to our third and final part. And this one has to do with, unfortunately, Randy Pitchford, another case of him putting his foot in his mouth, as unfortunately, or as usual. So we'll take a quick break, and we will be right back. Okay, and we are back with our third and final part of our My Two Cent video. And for this one, I'm going to be taking a look at a, once again, comment by Randy Pitchford, who just likes to make the situation worse all the time. Now, obviously, if you heard that name before, he is the CEO of Gearbox Software and all. They're famous, most likely, they've done games like Brothers in Arms and all, but they're most famous for the Borderlands series, though. Now, I do enjoy the Borderlands series. I do think it's a good looter shooter. I like the world and everything like that. So it is a good game, but it's also very difficult. It also is a series that I have a hard time embracing heavily on, mostly because of Randy Pitchford, who has been known, who has bizarre, questionable attitude and everything to a certain extent, though. From his history of lying to consumers about alien colonial marines, to his so-called erratic behavior that seems to have come out there over the years, including ranging from the mistreatment of some of the employees to even basically this whole USB stick / medieval time fiasco that we've heard about, though. And of course, there was also the situation with the Borderlands movies when that bombed really hard, of him going out trying to defend the movie for multiple reasons, and that led to some back and forth of him blocking some folks, especially from Borderlands fans, to basically having to walk back some of the stuff. Well, now he finds himself in another situation. This has to do with the release of Borderlands 4 that has come out, with the Switch 2 supposedly coming out at a later date. Unfortunately, there's been reports coming out about basically the game having performance issues, not only on the consoles, but also on the PC as well. And there has been, some people have been chiming in and talking about some of the issues and all. Well, Randy Pitchford decided to chime in on this as well. And well, let's just say it doesn't exactly go over as well as a lot of people, or not any surprise about the response given to what Randy Pitchford had to say. From an article from GameIndustry.biz, it reads that, quote, and this is regarding the PC version. In a series of X posts on September 15, 2025, Pitchford appeared to put the onus on the performance issues on players, saying, every PC gamer must accept the reality of the relationship between their hardware and what the software they are running is doing. We had made an amazing and fun and huge looter shooter campaign he continued. The game is pretty darn optional, which means that the software is doing what we want without wasteful cycle on bad process. With Borderlands 4, every PC gamer has a lot of tools to balance their preference between FPS, resolution, and rendering feature. If you aren't happy with the balance between these things you experience, please tune to your preferences using the tools available to you. The CEO also claimed that it's absolutely reasonable for developers to campaign looter shooters to focus on default setting, achieving 30 FPS on the minimum specification and 60 FPS on the recommended specification. It is a mistake to believe or expect the PC between minimum specification and recommended specification can achieve all the extremely high frame rate, maximum ultra feature, and extremely high resolution. Pitchford continued. If the last port makes you have a negative reaction, I bet you have emotional and expectations that you feel aren't significant attendance to. I'm sorry. But please accept that the game is doing a lot and running optimal, and that you may have either accepted some trade-offs between FPS, features, and resolution as your preference, or you would continue to be disappointed. He insisted Borderlands 4 has a few real issues, and those persists are affected a very small percentage of users. We are fixing those, and many already fixed, he said. We are also doing specific work on PC performance as well. Everything else is coming at us. We're not stopping. However, continuing on, it says, Pitchford recommended fans don't wait for these fixes and instead make the trade-off to prioritize what is important to you, suggesting players reduce the resolution to address FPS issues and utilize NVIDIA's AI DLS technology to improve visuals. In response to Pitchford's post, multiple players highlight the PC performance issues they had with Borderlands View, primarily citing unstable frame rate to even at a lower graphics settings and all. As of right now, the game has received negative reviews, but supposedly is selling very well. And Digital Foundry has chimed in on the whole issue as well. Honestly, I think someone should take Randy Pitchford's Twitter/X rights away or anything like that, because it just feels like he just makes the situation even worse when he opens his mouth, to be exact though, okay? Look, I'm not a PC expert. I'm more of a console gamer than a PC game, and all. I'm a console gamer, to be exact. But even I have to call BS on the kind of stuff that Randy Pitchford is saying. And then after this came out, 2K came out with some addressing that we are addressing this issue, we're fixing this, and came out with a better response than Randy Pitchford's response though. When stuff like this is one of the reasons why I wouldn't rush out and buy something from Gearbox right away. I would probably wait a bit before I decide to put money down to get any of their games or anything like that. It's because of the attitude that Randy Pitchford puts out, and this just reinforces that argument even more and all. I mean, seriously, you could have handled this much better, but you decide to add more drama to the situation, though. It'll be very interesting for PC players, especially with those with Steam, and given Steam's refund, very interesting to see how many of those opt to get a Steam refund because of the way the situation is being handled and all. So, yeah, I think they could have handled this much better. I understand if PC users are not happy with the response that they're getting from this and all. And yes, and the thing is that I'm not a PC expert. I just want to make that clear, though. Everybody has a different setup for their PC, though. Yes, there are those who have high-end PC, but there are those who basically, like to game on PC, but maybe don't want to break the bank or anything like that. So maybe they're happy with that setup that they have and everything like that. And to sort of give a middle finger response, yeah, I can see why not every consumer is happy about this and all. So, yeah. Another example of Randy Pitchford putting his foot in his mouth, just like he did this year with the whole $80 price tag that did not go over very well indeed. So overall, yeah, Randy Pitchford, I would say, is wrong. He could have handled this situation better, but again, he decided to add drama to the situation and just make it even worse though. And a situation like this is one of the reasons why I'm waiting to eventually to get Borderlands 4. I have no desire to get it right away. I might get it down the road, and if I do, it probably will be used and all, even if when the game comes to the Switch 2, if we know it runs well and all, I'll probably get that one used, because as much as I enjoyed the series, I just do not like Randy Pitchford, the CEO, and his attitude that he gives not only to some of the employees, his actions, but also to gamers as well, regardless if you game on a console or a PC and all. Okay, this concludes this My 2 Cent video for this week. And again, these are my opinion. What are yours? What are your thoughts about this ex-Capcom employee weighing in on the whole Switch 2 game keycards? Do you think that this employee makes a valid point to some of his argument and all? Or do you think that he's just white knighting and defending game keycards in general, to be exact though? Has it changed your opinion about it, or has it not changed your opinion about it at all? What are your thoughts about Mario Galaxy 1+2 and the $70 price tag and all? Do you think this $70 price tag is reasonable? Do you think it's way too expensive? Do you view this as Nintendo is being greedy or not? And what are your thoughts about Randy Pitchford's comments in regards to the performance issue, especially on the PC for Borderlands 4? Do you think this is another example of him putting his foot in his mouth? Or do you feel like that he made a valid point in regards of those who are getting the PC version of Borderlands 4? Do you agree with what I said in this video? Do you disagree? Do you have a difference of opinion? As always, sound off in the comment section below. Let me know what you think. And if you do like this video, I hope you hit the like button. I would appreciate it. And I hope you do subscribe to my YouTube channel. If you do, make sure you hit the bell icon for notifications of any new videos I put up. Also, feel free to share this video if you want to, and feel free to donate to my channel if you like. You could do it through PayPal Me, Patreon, or Steam Labs. Links will be in the description of this video, assuming you're watching this either on YouTube or Patreon. And I will see you again next time when I do another video. Hopefully that'll be soon. Until then, from Southern California, I wish you all a good day then. Bye.